The city didn't care that Jason was there, and he didn't care much for the city either. Everything was too fast and too loud. People walked past him with their heads down, staring at their phones like nothing else existed. Jason sat on the same wooden bench outside the train station every day at 3 p.m. He wasn't waiting for a train. He didn't have a ticket. He figured since everyone else was rushing, someone should just stay put. He was waiting for a reason to be there, the kind of reason you only notice when you're still. He leaned back and took a breath. He didn't pray out loud or make a scene. He just muttered under his breath. "All right, Lord," Jason said. "I'm here. It's a mess out here today. If you've got something for me, send it over. If not, I'm good just sitting here with you, just to use me for something. I'm tired of just taking up space." He opened his eyes. 5 minutes later, a kid showed up. "Is this spot taken?" The kid looked about 20. He wore a faded hoodie and looked completely drained. He was hovering at the edge of the bench like he wasn't sure his legs would keep holding him up. "Sit," Jason said, moving over. "I don't own the bench." The kid sat. He didn't look at Jason. He just stared at his feet and breathed hard. He didn't have a phone or headphones. He just looked like he was about to snap. "Rough day?" Jason asked. He kept his voice quiet. The kid didn't say anything for a long minute. He just rubbed his face with his hands. He looked pale, and there were dark circles under his eyes. "I don't know," the kid finally said. His voice was flat. "I'm just tired, man. I'm just really tired." He leaned forward, putting his head in his hands. "I went to work this morning and my boss fired me before I could even take my jacket off. Didn't give me a reason, just a check. I spent the rest of the day walking because I didn't want to go home. My landlord is already threatening to lock me out because I'm behind on rent. I've been walking for hours and I don't even know where I'm going. I feel like I'm invisible, like I could just disappear and nobody would notice." He stopped talking and just sat there breathing. He looked embarrassed, like he shouldn't have said all that to a stranger. Jason didn't give him a lecture. He didn't tell him things would get better. He just reached into his bag, pulled out a Gatorade, and put it on the bench. "Drink that. You look like you're about to pass out." The 3:15 train pulled into the station, hissed, and then pulled away. Jason didn't look at it. The kid watched the train leave, then turned to Jason. "Why are you still here? That was the train. You don't have a phone. You don't have a ticket. What are you doing?" "I'm hanging out with God," Jason said. The kid looked at him confused. "Right here?" "Yeah," Jason said. "Usually he's in the quiet, but sometimes he shows up in the people who sit next to me." The kid leaned back and let out a long sigh. "I told God this morning if he's real, he needs to send someone, just one person to actually notice me. I've been walking all day and you're the only one who even said hello." Jason nodded. He looked the kid in the eye. "You're not invisible. God's been watching you the whole time. Sometimes we just have to sit still long enough to realize it." They sat in silence for a while. It wasn't awkward. It was just quiet. Eventually, the kid stood up. He still looked tired, but he looked steady. "I'm Leo." He held out a hand. Jason shook it. "Jason." "Nice to meet you, Jason," Leo said. "I should probably go try to find a library or something, see if I can find some work." Jason stood up and swung his bag over his shoulder. He looked at the kid and gave a small shrug. "Hey, can the library wait? You want to go catch some lunch? We can talk some more, just hang out. My treat." Leo hesitated, then he nodded. A bit of the tension finally left his face. "Yeah, I'd really like that, man. I could totally use a friend." Jason smiled and put his hand on the kid's shoulder. "Come on, there's a diner around the corner. Let's go." As they walked into the crowd, Jason looked up for a second. "Thank you, Lord," he whispered. "Thanks for using me." Don't forget to show hospitality to strangers, for in doing so, some have entertained angels without knowing it. Hebrews 13:2, World English Bible.